If you watched my last video, you'd know that the Cygnus XL's debut, a spacecraft that was supposed to bring 11,000 pounds of supplies and food and cargo to the ISS orbital lab, was delayed. But I wanted to first update you guys by saying that it successfully made it. It was installed into the space station at 10:10 a.m. Eastern Time on Thursday, and so the astronauts have their food, they have their supplies, and luckily they were able to get things going after the unexpected delay. But I actually wanted to make this video because of what SpaceX shared today. It's a very long update, and typically when they do very long updates, I like to read them for you because some people prefer to listen than to read. So this time they're really talking about making rockets, as easily accessible as airplanes. This article is titled Evolving the Multi-User Spaceport. SpaceX writes, in March of 2025, the astronauts of the Fram-2 mission watched the launch of a Falcon 9 rocket while on their way to their own rocket launch. This moment was a glimpse of the future of launch, where a rocket taking off is akin to that of an airplane today. SpaceX was founded in 2002 to expand access to outer space, not just for government or traditional users, but for new entrants around the globe. Today, we're launching at an unprecedented pace as the world's leading launch services provider. We're safely and reliably launching astronauts, satellites, and other payloads on missions benefiting life on Earth and preparing for our ultimate goal to make life multiplanetary. To achieve this goal, SpaceX and its partners in the U.S. government have been transforming the traditional capabilities required for any launch provider to operate. Continuously challenging the status quo will enable U.S. providers to launch at previously unimaginable rates without compromising safety, while being good stewards of the environment and ensuring America's place at the forefront of space exploration. So this next part is about airport-like operations. Launch sites of the future need to be fully operationalized like an airport. That means multiple launches a day from multiple providers, able to launch when ready to support a variety of vehicles and missions. SpaceX is committed to working collaboratively with federal regulators, the federal ranges, and industry partners to realize this vision, including making significant investments in scientific research on blast and acoustics, physical infrastructure, and operational techniques and modern tools that foster dynamic, safe, and high-cadence spaceports in the U.S. Efforts at the Cape have already shown a dramatic increase in our country's number of launches can be achieved through real collaboration. Made possible through robust cooperation with partners like NASA, the FAA, and the U.S. Space Force, our Falcon family of rockets are launching and landing every 2 days on average, a cadence once dismissed as making it impossible for other launch providers to use the same range. Falcon is on track to launch more than 100 times from Florida alone in 2025, while other launch operators have continued their normal operations, which are not quite as frequent, let's be real. SpaceX often coordinates directly with other launch providers to ensure that operations are deconflicted. In some cases, we have stood down from our own launches to allow other providers the additional time that they need to fly, like an airplane waiting its turn on the runway. SpaceX has invested considerably in the infrastructure upgrades necessary to fly at a high rate. With Falcon, we have deployed new tools for monitoring launch ranges and weather, deconflicted communications frequencies between vehicles, and built up systems for storing commodities like nitrogen and helium to ensure our increased cadence does not impede other operators in Florida from launching on existing supply lines. For Starship and its larger propellant demands, we're making substantial investments to generate our own propellant by building air separation units and methane liquefaction factories directly on or adjacent to Starship launch sites. This will ensure that Starship launches do not impact the availability of commodities like propellant for other launch operators. We're also working to improve core common infrastructure, including power generation and transmission, wastewater treatment, and roadways in partnership with NASA, the U.S. Space Force, Space Florida, and the Florida Department of Transportation. With additional investment in the necessities for launch at each site, including power, data, commodities, and transportation, we're confident in the launch industry's ability to provide creative solutions and ensure public safety and enable improved launch deconfliction even at significantly higher numbers of launches. I want to take a moment to thank the sponsor of this video, Delete Me. Being an internet personality, I really want to keep parts of my life private and off the internet, including where I live and what my phone number is. And thanks to Delete Me, now I can do that. I've been working with Delete Me for over a year and a half now, and I highly encourage you to check out their service to keep your personal information safe and off the web as well. In the past, if I searched my name, sometimes I would find my phone number and where I lived, my address online, and I'm not alone, you may have that as well. It's very likely your personal information is out there and being sold online. This info is getting gathered up by countless data brokers, putting you at increased risk of identity theft, online harassment, and even spam and robocalls. But you can take your power back and hire a service like Delete Me to remove all of this information from the web. Delete Me saves you time by submitting opt-out requests and removals from search engines. They'll even follow up by giving you a detailed report in 7 days on what they found and removed. And they scan and delete that information all year long so that it doesn't pop up on another data broker. I personally feel so much better knowing that Delete Me is helping me stay safe from identity theft, harassment, robocalls, and even stalking. And my viewers can get 20% off all US consumer plans. Just go to the link joindeleteme.com/ellieinspace. That's joindeleteme.com/ellieinspace for 20% off. Thanks again to Delete Me for sponsoring this video. For the purpose of public safety, a temporary closure of the area around the launch pad is necessary to protect the public and infrastructure during certain launch-related activities. SpaceX has gone to great lengths to safely reduce clear times and distances based on actual test and real-world data, and has continually worked to streamline the complex process of launch. As programs progress and capabilities are proven, these clear areas can be dramatically reduced while maintaining safety standards. For example, the clear area associated with the Falcon rocket has decreased substantially as the rocket has demonstrated reliability over its lifetime. This shrinking of clear areas over time extends not just to the immediate area around the launch pad, but also to the air and sea space along planned flight trajectories, where today Falcon 9 has a minimal impact on air traffic for most flight trajectories. The duration of area clears associated with Starship will also be low, as the vehicle and its associated ground systems have been designed to complete propellant loading in under an hour. And you can see on this picture that they shared the difference between what those clear areas looked like in 2015 for Falcon 9 and what they looked like for Falcon Heavy in 2024, much smaller. With new vehicles like Starship coming online with capabilities geared toward full and rapid reuse, using advanced propellants, and flying from increasingly busy spaceports in America's small number of launch locations, it is critical that safety decisions like the size and location of clear areas are made using the latest data. SpaceX, in close technical partnership with NASA, has conducted extensive testing of LOX methane rockets to help refine blast danger areas to be commensurate with the physics of new launch systems. Historically, most U.S. rockets have used either hydrogen or RP-1 LOX propellants. Many new rockets coming online, including Starship, are fueled by liquid oxygen and methane. As a result, government authorities have relied on highly conservative approaches to establishing blast danger areas simply because they lack the data to make refined, accurate clear zones. In the absence of data, clear areas of LOX methane rockets have defaulted to very large zones that could be disruptive to operations. So to address this gap in data, SpaceX, in close collaboration with NASA and with the involvement of other U.S. government stakeholders like the FAA and Space Force, has undertaken years of research to assess the yield of LOX methane rockets. This research includes comprehensive testing at a rocket development facility in McGregor, Texas, supplemented by real-world data gathered during SpaceX's experimental flight campaigns with Starship, including recent ground test failures of the vehicle. With this data, SpaceX has been able to establish a scientifically robust, physics-based yield calculation that will help fill the gap in scientific knowledge regarding LOX methane rockets. As part of the process to bring Starship launches to Florida, SpaceX has proposed clear areas for the various Starship vehicle configurations and operations. These proposed clear areas use actual test data on total explosive yield and include a conservative factor of safety to help design more precise and safe clear areas. So while much of the analysis that was completed is specific to Starship and its various operations, SpaceX is making the data gathered from years of testing available to the government to aid in decision-making for future launch systems propelled by liquid methane and liquid oxygen. By sharing these solutions directly with government partners, including the FAA, the Department of Defense, and NASA, we are trying to help move the entire rocket safety community forward, presenting solutions based on data and scientific analysis rather than simply identifying problems or challenges. With this new data and proposed methodology for evaluating blast danger areas for LOX methane rockets, SpaceX is confident that Starship operations will not disrupt other launch operators at Kennedy Space Center or Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. The proposed clear distances will have no effect on any other operational launch site or north-south traffic. SpaceX looks forward to having an open, honest, and reasonable discussion based on science and data regarding spaceport operations with industry colleagues. Ultimately, increasing launch cadence and launch capacity is not a zero-sum game. SpaceX and the Federal Range operators have proven this with the Falcon rockets, which have shown ranges can accommodate high cadence launch rates, including launches every day for several days in a row. With appropriate planning, coordination, deconfliction, and modernized safety procedures based on data, America's spaceports can accommodate many flights from multiple providers on a continuous basis. Coordination across all providers and our government counterparts is the primary enabler of moving rocket launches into airport-like operations. And we're not done yet, but we're almost done. This is not AI, by the way. Sometimes people accuse me of having an AI voice, which I think is ridiculous. But this is not AI. My voice is getting very tired, but let's get back into it. The United States currently has a very small number of viable orbital launch sites, and only the Cape Canaveral area provides access to low to mid-inclination prograde orbits, as well as to geostationary orbit, which is required for many commercial, national security, and science satellites. SpaceX currently has launch pads and rocket processing facilities within Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, NASA's Kennedy Space Center, and Vandenberg Space Force Base, along with production test and launch facilities at Starbase in South Texas. In the near term, we're planning to build additional launch pads in Florida for Starship. Sharing the spaceport means being a good neighbor to both our fellow launch providers and the broader community. SpaceX launches Falcon multiple times per week from Florida today with little to no negative effect to fishing, shipping, or aviation because of our close and proactive efforts with our government partners like the FAA, U.S. Coast Guard, and U.S. Space Force. SpaceX continually works with FAA to understand the best approaches to efficiently integrate launch and reentry operations into the national airspace system. Because of these efforts, many critical air travel routes around the Space Coast remain open during SpaceX rocket launches, and any localized airspace closures are released as little as 3 minutes after liftoff. SpaceX and FAA are applying the same proven approach to Starship. During Flight 10 from Starbase, FAA reopened all affected airspace within 10 minutes, with some portions reopening within 7 minutes, and there was no meaningful disruption to air traffic due to effective prior coordination. We are confident in this partnership to continue to efficiently integrate these operations into the national airspace system. As we have demonstrated with Falcon operations, aircraft hazard areas undergo significant size reductions as a vehicle builds flight heritage. For example, we have reduced Falcon 9 hazard areas for Starlink missions by approximately 66% since 2022. The aircraft hazard areas and accompanying descriptions published within the recent Launch Complex 39A draft environmental impact statement are extremely conservative by nature and are intended to capture a composite of the full range of worst-case outcomes, but not any single real-world operation. SpaceX fully anticipates actual implemented aircraft hazard areas will be both far smaller in geographic scope and far shorter in duration, validated by the robust flight data and heritage we are building from Starbase. All right, we're almost done. Presently, there is an unprecedented demand for access to space. It is long-standing national policy that a robust and healthy commercial space sector with a variety of U.S. government and commercial customers is critical to ensuring this continued access. Recent executive actions have reaffirmed this national policy and called for direct action to enable more launches from U.S. spaceports to support our national defense, NASA's exploration mission, and our economy. Starship is a critical piece in maintaining this national policy and in realizing key national priorities, like returning American astronauts to the moon as part of the Artemis program. We are also not the only provider relying on the ability to launch rapidly from locations like Florida's Space Coast. These national goals will only be achieved by advancing the entire launch industry's ability to fly rapidly and reliably, ideally from multiple locations to increase resilience to uncontrollable variables like weather. For the first time in history, there is a concerted effort from several fronts to break the mold of what's considered conventionally possible when it comes to launching rockets. An effort to advance from the staid stance of slow and cumbersome operations when launching people and payloads to outer space into a dynamic future more akin to what hundreds of millions experience every year via the world's airports. SpaceX, along with countless others, believes that unlimited opportunities and tangible benefits for life on Earth are within reach if humanity can fundamentally advance its ability to access space. This is why we're committed to continually pushing the boundaries of launch with a relentless focus on safety and reliability. Oh my gosh, that was a lot to read. But a lot of interesting information, and I'm glad that SpaceX put an update out there, so I just thought that I would share it with you. One final thing. I shared a clip from an interview that I did recently with patient 7 of Neuralink, Jake Schneider, who has ALS, and he says that since having Neuralink for the past 3 months, it's changed his life. And Elon Musk actually shared this on X, thank you, and now it has like 1 million impressions, and people are really, really looking forward to hearing that story. So I am still editing it, but I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. Here's the clip.
I was starting to feel that hopelessness was taking over. And then I saw a news spot on TV about Neuralink and about Nolan. And I was like, wow, this is, Neuralink, Elon Musk, Austin, it was checking all the boxes. So I researched it, and on their website, they had the patient registry. And at the time, it was I think the protocols were much tighter in that they were really opening it up to only spinal cord injuries. Mm-hmm. But I filled out the form regardless, indicating, I have partial to total paralysis in my limbs, and I wasn't really expecting to hear anything back. And it was probably 6 months after that I had my implant in Phoenix, so the Barrow team contacted me and said, we think you'd be a really good candidate for this if you're still interested. And then it moved pretty quickly from there.
Wow. And you said you got it in June?
Yeah, June of this year. Yeah, June 13th. Yeah.
I mean, you're still pretty new.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy how fast the time has gone by.
What was it like to go from hopelessness to suddenly having even just the thought of what it could be like, and then actually living with Neuralink?
It's not like anything that I can explain other than you watch slowly as things are taken away. And for to be selected out of everyone on this planet, to be selected for that and say, we're giving this back to you. I mean, it's very powerful stuff. It was like a gift from God, honestly. I felt like I was down to nothing, and then, this came along and everything lined up perfectly. I knew my time being able to work was dwindling, but I didn't want to leave my job and not have anything to do during the day.
For sure.
And so, being accepted for the trial lined up perfectly with offloading from my everyday job. And kind of towards the end, the work I was doing, it kind of felt, my heart wasn't really in it towards the end. And now I have this thing that I'm waking up passionate about working with every day. And I work with engineers for 2-3 hours a day. And,
Wow.
you know, being able to like wake up and have something to look forward to when you didn't have it before, it kept me going.
And so hopefully you're able to watch that interview. I promise it is not only heartwarming, but, you know, it's very interesting and inspiring. And I'm so glad that, you know, Jake, who has ALS, can have Neuralink. And I sincerely hope that people with conditions like ALS or paralysis, I could imagine that nearly every single one of them would want Neuralink. So I'm hoping that they're able to also rapidly expand their capabilities because it is truly life-changing. So look forward to that video, but thanks so much for watching this one, and I'll see you in the next one.